Hey everybody, John Troutman from Cork'd.com here. I'm standing here on day 2 at the Grenache Symposium. We're in the south of France and we're just getting some tasting underway here. We have a number of different countries that are represented, from France, Spain, even parts of Sardinia, and of course we have Australia, which the tasting wouldn't be complete without. I'm standing here with a man who you're probably familiar with his wines, but maybe not him, so I'm going to give him a chance to introduce himself.
Okay, yeah, I'm Chester Osborn, 4th generation winemaker from D'Arenberg, McLaren Vale, South Australia.
Awesome. The D'Arenberg label is something a lot of you are probably familiar with, but you might not be so familiar with the Australian terroir. Chester, tell us a little bit about McLaren Vale and the different land that you're working with.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, basically, Grenache has been a big variety in McLaren Vale for a long time. The first vines were planted in 1830s actually, but the vines that we use are all 40 to 130 years old, all on own roots, no grafting, there's no filters. So we get, they're very low yielding, poor soils, so we get really quite intense, lively characters in the wines. So the acidity is really beautiful and they're fresh and lively. We get lots of flowers in the Grenaches, and they're quite solid wines as well. Very long, fragrant characters. Obviously we have spicy characters. The sands, we have a lot of different types of soils. We have sands that give you more violets and flowers and elegant, fragrant length. And then we have the harder grounds like clay and parts of limestone through the clay and whatever. And these soils are more bold and gutsy and rich, but if you're very careful about your picking and don't get them overripe, you get still a lovely aromatic and spiciness and all sorts of rose hip-like notes and apricot and cherry blossom and whatever. So it's really interesting, but with an earth character. These are really low-yielding vines. We're talking a quarter of a tonne to a tonne per acre, and so there's a lot of concentration in them. But you've got to be very gentle about extracting the flavours. So we actually have whole berries in the ferment, and we have a submerged cap ferment. So we're holding the berries down in the ferment. No plunging, no pumping over. We just foot tread them once through the ferment, basket press everything, an old-fashioned press, into the barrels, and then leave it in the barrels with no racking, no filtering, no fining, nothing happens. We just come blend them when they're 1 year old, put them in the bottle so that the oak is not very strong in the wines, and it's just a natural process. What I did forget to tell you is the vineyards, there's no fertiliser for 15 years, no cultivation in the vineyards at all, so we're really getting the soil flavour by not having this influence, and of course no irrigation as well. Basically, water and fertiliser means that you're growing the vine hydroponically, and how do you get the soil character, how do you get the tannin into the wine if you're growing it hydroponically? So we're getting this great minerality in the wines. I'm sure you enjoy it if you try it.
Awesome. So now that we're a little bit comfortable with the different terroir and the different types of land in McLaren Vale, yesterday a major theme was on alcohol levels in Grenache as a whole, and certainly Australia has a little bit of a reputation for getting alcohol levels that can soar. Tell us how you're able to maintain alcohol levels to a moderate level and still get that elegance in your Grenache.
Yeah, okay, well we're fortunate in McLaren Vale that we have cold nights right on the sea. We've got a mountain range the other side of us with the sea behind that as well, so top end of the peninsula. So we don't have the really baking days, and we have cool nights, so that helps the acidity and the fragrance of the wine a lot, of course. Then also in the process, I make sure I don't have any shriveled fruit when I'm picking, because that makes a fatter, oilier wine, and obviously a higher alcohol wine when it's shriveled. I don't pick too ripe, I just pick on flavour, and the acidity is really quite high when we're picking, so that is elegance. But very importantly, in the fermentation, we make sure the end is cold, because if you have a hot ferment at the end of the ferment, the alcohol, of course, is being produced more and more, and there's more at the end. And the alcohol and the heat together make a more oily wine, a broader wine, which looks clumsy and pronounces the alcohol. Whereas these wines are 14.5% alcohol, which is relatively high, but they don't look at all clumsy and oily. They look fine and fragrant and lively, and it's because of this cold end that doesn't extract these characters. And actually, it slows the ferment down. We extract really lovely mineral characters in the wine, and this fragrant mineral character. And by minerality, I explain minerality as coming together of three things. It's acidity, together as one thing, and that's really the best way to think about minerality.
Great. So, you know, going back to the Australian wine scene in general, so many people are just really familiar with the Shiraz, and that's about it. Tell us a little bit about the way that you think that Australia can brand themselves as premium producers of Grenache as well. What's the most important thing for them?
Getting a lot of it out there and into people's mouths, I think, is it really. But, you know, coming to these things is always great, and showing the wines off around the world, because so many people love Grenache in Australia, and people worldwide are starting to realise that Châteauneuf-du-Pape is Grenache, Gigondas is Grenache, and there's a lot of Côte d'Orons, a lot of Priorat, you know, very expensive Grenaches, with a few other varieties thrown in a lot of these, but the Grenache is the core in a lot of these wines, and a lot of people don't realise that. So this whole conference has been about trying to see how we can put Grenache out there and the name more prominent, so that people realise that, oh wow, this is actually a really interesting variety. It's so versatile, you know. It goes with so many different food types, and Grenache can make so many different styles as well, all the way from white Grenache, rosés, to juicy, softer wines with fun and fruity and lively, and then bigger, more serious wines with density and lovely lushness and great length and tannins and complex earth characters. So there's so much going on in Grenache that it's just so much fun, and so we want to get that out there, and that's what the idea of this conference is about.
Awesome. Chester, thank you so much for your time here and at the symposium as a whole. We appreciate it.
Pleasure, John.